When he failed to get the money from the tenants, he was so upset. And so he sent, I'm talking about a billionaire. He sent goons with buckets of sewage. I don't know where they fetched it from. And they poured the sewage outside in my property, inside my property, but at the stairs. And so the whole place was flooded. 2 days later, he sent more than 30 goons to my property. They vandalized the property like I've never seen before. They beat up women and children. I have a video of that, which I have presented to the police station, and the police will not arrest him. This man is above the law. My name is Lucy. I am a mother of one, a single mother of one. 2023 has been the most difficult year for me. I lost my property to one person by name Ezekiel Karaoke. He has a company by name Comfort Homes, and together as one. This right here is the property that I have lost to him because I borrowed him 800,000 only, some money that I struggled to pay because I had a patient in the hospital and he knew that all along. And he eventually came to my property with goons, more than 30 of them, evicted my tenants, and I actually was depending fully on this property because it is a rental apartment. It has 13 units of 1 bedrooms. And this has been the most difficult time of my life. I feel like I wasted my 6 years in America because this is all I brought home. This house right here. And right now I do not have it anymore. I have been trying the courts. They have frustrated me. Recently, I did an application for a court order to stop him from interfering with my property. Incidentally, instead of me getting the court order, he was given the court order against me. That right now, I would not even step at my property because he has that court order right there, which indicates that if I go to my property, I will be arrested. So basically right now, I am here to just air my grievances because the police, they will not arrest him as much as he has committed numerous crimes. He evicted my tenants and he transferred my property through fraud. Actually, he backdated the transfer. He maliciously damaged my property. He sent goons to go and attack my tenants. The tenants were beaten up. You can see over here. They damaged the property, beat up even little kids. You can see over here. And even with all that, the police will not arrest him. The courts, I don't know whether to trust them because having done an application for a court order for him to stop interfering with my property, and I end up finding out that he is the one who was issued with a court order for me not to bother him in my property because he has already occupied my property, then that is very, very concerning. And that is why I am here, because I know that I am not his only victim.
Allow me to introduce you to Psychex, a trusted partner in mental well-being, offering tailored services for individuals and corporates alike. Remember, you can support any of these stories we continue to share by sponsoring their therapy sessions at PsychX. PsychX provides a range of therapeutic services from licensed therapists to life coaches, all conveniently accessible through a user-friendly web app, www.psychx.io.
I had a project that I was running. It's a small hotel. I was building rooms which have gone incomplete even as we speak, because my daughter's dad fell sick. My daughter is the only child. As much as I was not living with him, my daughter is the only child. And since he got sick in 2020, I am actually the one who has been paying the hospital bills for him. And my daughter is the one who was taking him to doctor's appointments. So actually we are the ones who were taking care of him. At first he wasn't so sick, but in the middle of 2021, he was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, rectal cancer. And it really got so bad. During the same time is when I had just borrowed some money from this karaoke to do my project. But because I was also struggling with the medication for him, I ended up being unable to repay him. But all along I was talking to him, and I could go to his office every month. Whenever I promised to pay some money and maybe I was not able to pay him, I would go to his office in person and keep begging him for some more time. I borrowed him 800,000. I was supposed to repay the money in 6 months with an interest of 15% per month. So it was a bit expensive. Either way, I was not able to pay him, but I was in communication, and in 2022, December, he came to my property, to the tenants. Actually, my property is a rental apartment. At that time, I was still having that sick relative. He came to my property and he asked the tenants to start paying rent to him, and he told the tenants that I owed him 4.5 million. That was in December of 2022. Unfortunately, I lost my daughter's dad to cancer. He did not make it. And we had a period of financial struggles up to date, because during the same time is when he seized my house. So I have not been able to recover from that financial crisis. As much as I really worked hard throughout my life, like for more than 20 years, I have been really working hard. And the last 6 years, before 2021, I was working in America, overworking, like working 2 jobs, sometimes 3. Eventually, what I brought home was that particular house, which I don't have anymore. 2022 December, when his karaoke served the tenants with notices indicating that starting from January of 2023, they needed to start paying rent to him, indicating that he was taking that step because he was repossessing my house, because, as he said, I owed him 4.5 million. What I know is that I had borrowed him 800,000. I don't know how he came up with the 4.5 million. But when the tenants received that letter, they sent it to me. I was not home at that time. And the following day, I went to Kariuki's office, and he served me with the same letter, indicating that I owed him 4.5 million and that he was taking my property starting from that day. The repercussion was clear that he would take my property if I did not pay and I did not communicate. But even as he took my property, We had a payment plan with him, and he has never failed to find me on my phone. And anytime I promise to pay anything and I don't make it, I usually used to go to his office. And he's the person I was talking to. It had gotten to a point where I was not talking to my loan officers anymore. He personally wanted me to talk to him direct, and that is what I was doing. So even at the time he seized my property, we had that arrangement. Initially, he had threatened me, and I'm just being honest, he had told me never to go to court. He had just put it point blank that even if we don't agree on the terms, if you are not able to pay me, don't you ever try to go to court. So when he served me with that letter, and it indicated that he was taking my property starting from that day. And that letter, that notice was from his lawyer, not from the court. I didn't have a choice. The only choice I had was to go to court. So that was on 2nd of December when I got that letter from him of last year. On 3rd, I went to court, and my lawyer filed a case, and then I was issued with a court order for status quo on the 13th of December, the same month, which was 2 weeks after. So I thought I was buying time so that I could be able to renegotiate the terms, and then maybe if we agree, I could just withdraw the case from the court, and maybe we could go for the new payment plan. It was absolutely absurd. And the problem is, it was not just absurd to me. You see, at first he did not serve me. He served the tenants. So I was not able to convince the tenants that, no, I don't owe him this much. I owe him this much. But incidentally, on that notice, he had indicated, which I do have right here, he had indicated that I borrowed 1.2 million, which had accumulated to 4.5 million. So even the tenants were like, how comes that she borrowed 1.2 and now she's supposed to pay 4.5 in a space of 1.5 years? How much is the interest for this money? I could not understand how he came up with the 4.5, and that is one of the reasons why I asked my lawyer to move to court, so that he could explain how he came up with the 4.5. That was one. The other thing, he had already threatened me never to go to court, and now that he has served me with a letter indicating that he was taking my property starting from that day, what choices did I have? I don't think I had any choice. The only choice I had was to go to court. But hello, this karaoke does not even listen to the courts. I was given the status quo order on 13th of December. Then on the 19th, he came back. He came back with some papers, put them on the walls at my premises, and on the papers he wrote that this is the new till number for the rent, so that the tenants were supposed to pay to him. One day later, there was another notice indicating that they needed to pay rent to him starting from every month, starting from January, which was going to be the following month. And this notice was taken to the police station, Obama police station. It was stamped by the deputy OCS, indicating that he had received the notice, which was a threat. And then it was also taken to the chief, Njiro, who also endorsed it, and it was now served to the tenants. So when the tenants got the letter, they actually told me that they had gotten a letter from the chief indicating that they needed to pay rent to Together as One Investment Limited, and anyone who did not pay to him would be evicted starting from the 5th of the following month. So come 5th of January, no one had paid rent to him because actually my tenants used to pay me on the 10th. So when he failed to get the money from the tenants, he was so upset. And so he sent, I'm talking about a billionaire. He sent goons with buckets of sewage. I don't know where they fetched it from, but it's really a big deal when somebody just carries sewage and you are a billionaire, you have funded that project. And they poured the sewage outside in my property, inside my property, but at the stairs. And so the whole place was flooded. It was at around 7 p.m., shortly after my day guard had left. And so the tenants, again, we worked on the sewage. We got some ladies to come and clean up. And the place was cleaned up. And then I thought, oh, it's just sewage. He can't do more than that because I have a court order. You know, I don't think an ordinary Kenyan will ignore a court order. That is not very likely. But now, on 7th, 2 days later, he sent more than 30 goons to my property. And they broke into the property, found the watchman inside, and they pulled him outside, stripped they tore apart his clothes, they stole his phone and the main gate's key, and then they got access into my property. They vandalized the property like I've never seen before. They beat up women and children. I have a video of that, which I have presented to the police station, and the police will not arrest him. This man is above the law. So they beat up women and children. As you can see, this is a kid who was beaten up. They were about 30 goons. And they did that within 35 minutes. I called the police. The police were able to come within 35 minutes. As much as it is only a 10 minutes walk from the police station. It's a police station, Obama, to my place. But unfortunately, they came 35 minutes after, giving the goons enough time to do their stuff and then pack all the electricity meters, the water meters. Each tenant had a water meter. I have 13 one-bedroom apartments. So they packed them in sacks and they left. After that, the tenants were beaten up on daily basis for the next 7 days. From the 7th of January to the 14th of January. Each day they were being beaten and they were being told, musipotoka kwa hii nyumba tutailipua. That right there is terrorism. On the 14th, that is when the last tenant moved out. And so at that time, my house was vacant. I bought a kufuri, padlock, I locked, and I couldn't stay there anymore because, you know, even my security at that time, I was not sure that I would survive it. First of all, this man, I was going to the police station on daily basis. I have 7 OB numbers with me, but the police were not doing anything. So you don't mess with such a person. But right now I am ready to mess with him because he has messed up my life in a very big way. I have nothing more to live for. After he kicked out all the tenants, my place now was vacant. He came and broke into the flat again, and he started painting the flat. I called the police. The police came over and we arrested 5 people. They were arraigned in court. But during the arraignment, the magistrate, there was a ruling, and the magistrate said that those were only sent go and get the person who sent them. That was the ruling. But the police did not take any action. They know who sent them. They know who hired the goons. They know who hired the gentlemen who came to paint my house. I don't blame them because they were not told that there was a problem in that house. But actually, that is why I did not follow up with the case when they were taken to court. Because why are you arresting the messenger? What about the person who has sent them? Why don't you arrest them? So I tried to insist on them, and that same thing that I was insisting is the same thing that when the ruling was made, it came up in the ruling. The judge said, go and arrest the person who sent them. Eventually, in February, they brought in people who posed as tenants. So right now, there are people in my house. Oh, actually, when he repainted my house, before, this is how my house looked like. I had just completed the house in 2021, 3 months before I went to borrow money from him. That is how I ran out of money. That's how it looked like. But now, this is how it looks like after he has repainted it. This right here. Akisha inyakua inakaa hivi sasa. After he kicked out my tenants and painted, and now he brought in new tenants, the police went over there and they took their statements. But the police have never taken the statements for the tenants who were kicked out. Yet they had the guts to go and take the statements for the tenants who got into my apartment after my tenants were kicked out. That right there is contempt of court, because at the time he broke into my house, I had a status quo court order. And then on the 14th of, let me back up a little bit. On 20th of January, I decided to search my property. My property is for a certificate, share certificate. We don't have titles right there. So I decided to do a search on my property. And there's this office that is supposed to give the certificates, and it's the same place where you can go and search the ownership of the property. So at the time, which was on 20th of January this year, the property was in my name. Then on the 14th of February, which was the following month, this treasurer for the same company gave me a call. I have that conversation on my phone. She asked me to go to the office and do a transfer for the property to Together as One. And I told her, first of all, there is a court pending. I mean, there's a case pending in court. And again, you are not supposed to force me to come and transfer my property when there is already a case in court. So with that, I went to my lawyer and informed him, and he wrote a cease and desist letter to that office, and he attached a court order, which I had been given the previous, 2 months earlier, and they were served. They received it. I do have copies here with me. But even with that, recently I learned that they have already transferred my property. And unfortunately, as much as there is that phone conversation, they do not know that my phone records all the conversations automatically. So if I want to save the conversation, if I think it is important to me, I do save it. And so I happened to save that one. So I do have it. The conversation is the treasurer asking me to go and do a transfer, which was on 14th of February. But then now they have written, given this Karaoke and his accomplices share certificate for my property, indicating that he was issued with the certificate in November of last year, so that it does not look like they have gone against the court order, which of course they have, but they don't know that I have that evidence, the phone conversation, and also the search, which they are the same people who gave me that search. You know what? When I really complained to the DCI, Kiambu headquarters, that my property has been transferred through fraudulent means, the DCI started investigating my case. And then somewhere along the line, they stopped. They were supposed to go take these 2 documents to Kiambu for analysis, so that the 2 documents can be checked which of them came first and whether they are from the same people, which they were from the same people. My search, which was issued by the same office on 20th, and this other share certificate, which was issued after 20th, probably, actually after 14th of February with that phone conversation. But now they had to backdate it to look like it was issued to them in November, so that they don't get held accountable for going against the court order. That is how corrupt karaoke is. And now the people who are supposed to investigate, they said that is not a police case, it's not a criminal case, it is a civil case. I know where it gets to be a civil case. There is 2 sides of the coin. That is fraud right there. My property was transferred after I had searched it, and it was backdated. That right there is fraud. And then there is the issue of contempt of court. And then for me to recover my property, I can pursue a civil case. I know that. But in the first place, why don't you hold these people accountable for having transferred the property in fraudulent means, going against the court order? And it's not just karaoke. It is karaoke. It is the chairman of that office. It is the secretary. It is the treasurer, who is the mother to the secretary, by the way. And it is the committee member. All those people who did the signatures, who put their signatures on that share certificate. They are the same people whom I sat with in that office on 20th when I needed to search for the ownership of the property. At the time, it was in my name. So my property has been, so much money has exchanged hands, that I know. Well, somebody will ask me whether I have evidence. I may not have evidence that money changed hands, but I have evidence that somebody gave me a search on 20th. On 14th, the same person called me to ask me to come and do a transfer, which I declined. My lawyer did a letter to them on the same day for cease and desist, for them not to transfer my property. And then, whatever time they did it, they transferred my property. I came to Nairobi when I was 19. And from that time, when I got to Nairobi, this is what I have been working for. I spent my 6 years in America doing all the odd jobs so that I could finish my property. Complete building it. And then somebody just comes in and takes it in a day. There is that process. You cannot just take people's properties and assume that you are okay. And the ruling that was made in July, it kept on being moved from one date to the other, from this other date to the other, and eventually it was done without even my lawyer's notice. I am the one who insisted on him, and I was like, why don't you go and check whether the ruling has been done? And I don't know how he checked. Then he told me that the ruling was done like 3 days earlier. I was disappointed because this is my property. It is not Karaoke's property. They know very well that this man is stealing from me. I did an application for him to be stopped from harassing me, from interfering with my property, and from interfering with the tenants. Just imagine he was given the orders so that I can stop interfering with his property, with that property, that I should stop harassing his tenants. That did not go well with me. And actually, I was like, well, the judge has said that I should stop interfering with this property. What has guided him or her to make that ruling? The ruling is very, it's not conclusive, if you ask me. Even my lawyer, he said that this ruling is not conclusive. I could not afford to do an appeal because when this man seized my property, I don't have a way of earning my living anymore. Kama ninakula ni kupenda kwa Mungu. My friends, thank you very much for my friends and family, and even strangers who have come through for me. You people have wiped my tears and you have restored me. That is why right now I am doing this video, but I am not really like crying, and because I don't have to worry about what do I eat tonight, because my friends, family, and even strangers have really come through for me. So there are a number of cases, civil cases, that I can file in court against this man. First of all, I have lost my livelihood, and there was no court order asking me to move out of my property. If there was, I would respect. I am not like him, who does not respect the courts. If there was a court order asking me to leave my property for him or whatever, I would have left the property for him, or maybe I would have looked for an amicable way to, sort out the issue. But for him, he thought the amicable way was the goon's way. Anyway, there are a number of cases, civil cases, that I can be able to file against him regarding my property and regarding my own security. And most importantly, and one day I will hold him accountable, because the fact that I do not have money right now does not define what I will be tomorrow. I could have money tomorrow. I know I'm very, very hardworking. All I don't have right now is money for capital to do a business. I know I can do business even, most importantly, I want to hold him accountable for evicting my tenants. Unajua, by the way, OCS wa Obama, she told me that when I was processing the status quo court order, aliniambia that hata hiyo court order ikimaliziwa process, yeye hataenda kuifacilitate. What does that tell you? Alienda kwangu, akavuja nyumba, kulikuwa na court order. Hold him accountable for contempt of court. Walishikana na hiyo group ya Obama office, Omega Juakali office. Wakatransfer property yangu. There was a court order. Hold the 6 of them accountable for their criminal actions. Don't tell me that it is civil. I know the civil part of it, but the criminal part of it does not cease to exist just because there is a civil element. Hiyo ni criminal. Hata wewe mwenye uliniambia that nyumba yangu si mkate. So let me now touch on that story. When I went to DCI Kiambu, the deputy DCI alinituma kwa mtu Nairobi area. I know I am risking my life, so I prefer not to do names right here. But he's a senior police officer in charge of investigations. And when I got there, he told me, okay, actually I got there at the same time with another police officer a junior police officer. And he did not, first of all, he complained that I had gotten to his office 30 minutes before time. Who does that? And I was not given my privacy. And so he was addressing the officer, and he told the officer that huyu mama alienda kushairok nyumba yake kwa mtu anaitwa Karaoke wa Together as One and Comfort Homes in town. After ameshairok nyumba yake, sasa anataka tumuitishie hiyo nyumba. That is not why I was there. I did not come to ask you to ask Karaoke to give me back my house. I came to ask you to hold him accountable. If that was very difficult for you, then it's okay. Leave that office and let somebody else come and do that job that you are undermining. Yeye aliniambia hivi, nyumba yangu si mkate, like this house right here, this flat. Ni ghorofa 4, 13 one-bedroom apartments. Aliniambia si mkate. Ati ndio Karaoke akate pisi yake, anibakishie hiyo pisi ingine. What kind of a senior officer assigned such a big office will say that? Wakati wewe umeenda kumlidia kumwambia, I feel like my justice has been denied. Wakati aliiba nyumba yangu, my daughter had just lost her father to cancer. And from that time, my daughter has not been able to recover from depression. As we speak, my daughter has fled the country. Why? Because another criminal action, the general manager for that company, Together as One and Comfort Homes, this one time somebody posted my issue, this same issue about this house on Facebook. And then people started commenting. Uyo msichana aka-comment, uyo general manager aka-comment akasema, this woman, she meant me now. So she said, uyo mama hata akilia ama akufe, hiyo nyumba haipati, na kama nimesema, na nikisema, kama nimesema. In short, I will never recover my house, my flat. And once she says it, she has said it, as if that was not good enough. There's somebody who said that tunarara ja, mimi na mtoto wangu tunarara ja, which was true. At that time, which was true. Uyo general manager alienda aka pull out old pictures of my daughter za 2020. She put them on the internet. She put the pictures of my daughter. At that time, she was driving Nissan Juke. Akachukua picha za gari, akaweka kwa internet. And then akauliza watu, does she look like she's sleeping hungry? Uyu ati mkimwangalia mnaona kama ni mtu analala ja. But then people are so good. Kuna mtu mmoja alimuuliza aje, not even one person, so many people walimuuliza aje, wewe una post picha za 2020, kwa nini usiweke picha za leo? Why don't you put recent pictures tuone kweli kama their concern is genuine, venye wanasema hawana food, ni kweli hawana food. Iyo sio criminal. That is, my daughter already reported that issue to Kiambu headquarters. They have not done anything about it. So ukiniambia that cases zangu ni civil, I am not an idiot. I know, I can tell civil from criminal. Very recently niliona kwa TV, kuna yule mtu alikuwa amespread lies on the internet regarding the deputy president. That person was taken to court. It's just 1 week ago. So kama huyo amespread lies about the president, the deputy president, and he is in jail. Because now mimi, I am just a common man, mtu wa kawaida, that is what people call others. You don't think my case needs to be tackled just like the one for the vice president? That feels very, very unfair. Even as we speak, one of my friends cannot even put food on the table. because walimpatia loan ya gari ya 300,000. Hiyo loan huyo mama aliilipa ikiwa 800,000. Together as one investment limited ndio walimpatia. She paid it ikiwa over 800,000. And what she did, aliona eventually watu wana insist hajamaliza pesa, akilipa ingine anaambiwa hajamaliza. Eventually she decided to sell her car. Her car alikuwa anaitumia kama Uber. So right now she's trying all means za kulea watoto. Hana she gives you a call and tells you nisaidie na 100 shillings. And because I have been there, sometimes hata nasemanga hii hata nimepewa na mtu. Kuna mtu amenitumia 1,000 and this lady is here asking me to give her 100 shillings. Na ni mtu ulikuwa unaambia nipatie 20,000, anakuambia nipatie 1 hour. What is that? This morning on the internet niliona watu wame complain about the same company. Somebody was complaining on the internet akisema that amelipia properties, amepewa share certificate, wamenyimwa title. The same properties zimekuja zimeuziwa watu wengine. I don't want to get into that because I am not here for comfort homes. After umepaka nyumba yangu rangi, mulikuja kwangu na mukachinja buzi. Shame on you. Kikuyu, you do not snatch properties from women and then celebrate. You are a coward. Ukisha unanyang'anya aje mwanamke property yake? Do you know what it means to own a property? It's only a bunch of women who own properties in Nairobi, in Kenya. Most of the people who own properties are men. Especially when it comes to be a single mother who has owned her property na unakuja kuichukua na unafanya bash. Wewe sijui wewe ni Mkikuyu wa aina gani. Hata Wakikuyu wenzako wanaume wazee wale mabilionaires mnakunywanga na wao. They need to tell you that hiyo venye ulifanya hawezi nyang'anya mwanamke na uende ukafanya bash kwake. So anyway, so many people have gone through this with him. It's only that they are not okay. Some may be brave enough to speak out, but they may not have the resources, and they may not even have the destiny connectors. They may not even have access ya mtu kama wewe. So I really feel for such people. Maybe if you hear my story and you want to reach out to somebody who can put it out there, I am available. You can just talk to me. I will be listening. The only way I can now fight for my property is just by letting people know the kind of person you are. Hiyo tu ndio nimebakisha. Kwa polisi najua, I will keep trying because see, the CS yesterday alisema wale corrupt police will be transferred. Wale wamekaa kwa station for more than 3 years. 3 years is not a long wait. Nitangoja mpaka wale wako your enablers watoke. After all, criminal cases do not have a statute of limitation. And even if they have, 3 years is okay, I can wait. After all, hii nyumba nimeijenga for 19 good years. Ile siku nilinunua hii property, to date, it is 19 years. So I don't mind using another 19 years fighting for this because it is my retirement property. Hapa ndio naenda kuretire mimi. I really need people to know what is going on in our country. First of all, the corrupt billionaires. Secondly, the corrupt police and the corrupt chiefs. Our country is really, really corrupt. And if no one is doing anything about it, I am. I'm doing something about it. And the most important thing ile unafaa kufanya so that you can play your part and bring down the corrupt people is by using cameras. Or if it was 5 months ago, I would be uncontrollable. I was just crying. But right now, mimi nimesema machozi nimelia ya kutosha. Saa hii ni kusolve karaoke, kumsolve nihakikishe Kenya yote inajua. Wacha Kenya, diaspora. When I lived in Washington, everyone talked about comfort homes for properties. So I want people to know the kind of people they are. By the way, he has been in my property for the last 10 months. Mimi ile pesa alinipatia ni 800,000. Property yangu kwa saa hii, before he kicked out the tenants, I was getting 82,000 from that property. Kwa hivyo sasa kama amekaa kwa nyumba yangu miezi 10, hata kama nyumba si mkate, si sasa ashajikatia mkate yake kusema ukweli. Hatuna arrangement that atachukua rent yangu kwa this duration of time. That conversation I'm not even having it with him anymore. Ni atoke kwa nyumba yake yangu, nimlipe pesa yake.